of Tampa, we also have MacDill Air Force Base, home of Central Command.
Well, listen, I know you guys have a tough job on your hands there tonight. We thank you for coming on and sharing with us your perspective. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to you again. Joe Durkin, spokesperson of the Tampa Police. Thanks so much. So there you have it, the situation as we're following it right now. One that certainly is, we're going to require a lot of thought with many officials here as far as securing airports. What you're looking at is a Cessna 172. Tampa officials say they're efforting now to try and somehow get this, what's left of this Cessna 172 down from the 28th floor of this 42-story building. It is a Bank of America building right smack dab in the middle of Tampa, Florida. Once again, the pilot of this plane appears to be the only person who has died on the scene. We mentioned there were 15 people in the building at the time, but none of them were injured. The pilot is a 9th grader, an honor student who had been taking flying lessons for quite some time. Some say he was already quite adept, but because he's 15, obviously he would not be allowed to fly alone. The plane where he was taking lessons from belongs to National Aviation Flight School. We understand that the person who was going to be giving the lesson to this young man had not yet shown up. He took off by himself without his instructor, and that he was followed by 2 Coast Guard helicopters, and then eventually 2 F-15 jets were scrambled as well from Homestead Air Reserve Base. None, obviously, were successful in trying to stop him. As to what his motivations are at this time, we really don't know. There are indications, at least according to everyone there on the scene in Tampa, that this was a deliberate act. There's at least one witness who said that she saw the plane going to the building and that at no time did she see the pilot try and take any evasive maneuvers to avoid the building, which would lead many to suggest that perhaps he deliberately crashed into the building. As to whether this is tied in any way, shape, or form to terrorism, all the indications are at this point that it is not. No indications of terrorism, according to White House spokesperson Scott McLennan. Dan Garay is joining us. He's one of our military experts, and he's been following this as well. Some concerns I've heard from you tonight, Dan, as to whether or not we really have the mechanism in place to be able to stop something like this in the future.
We don't. We clearly don't have the mechanism. We are just at the beginning steps of trying to secure this country, its borders, its transportation systems, its communication systems, the internet, against terrorist attack or some large-scale act of criminality or insanity.
So it really comes down to us dealing with these on a case-by-case incident and learning from it.
That's largely the way we've done it in the past. You know, we don't make the same mistake twice. We now put barriers up outside federal buildings or offset them to prevent a recurrence of Oklahoma City.
Yeah, example, pilots were told previously that they weren't to act aggressively with hijackers, that they were just follow the instructions, land the plane safely, and move on. I imagine pilots aren't being told that anymore.
No, it's quite evident they are not, and they're being, you know, shown by the acts of the airlines that the doors to be kept locked, it's reinforced, and they're to bring the plane down regardless of what's happening in the rear.
Let me make you Tom Ridge, if I can, for just a moment. I'm going to give you that Homeland Defense hat and let you wear it. What do you do in a case like this?
Well, right now, clearly there has to be an investigation, or he's going to let the investigative system, NTSB and the rest, take their hand at this. But what he's got to address, and address rather quickly, is the overall lack of security, the accessibility of aircraft, the fact that we keep coming up with new things to worry us, from explosives in shoes to people able to get at, this is a small airplane, there are large ones, get at them fairly readily, to the fact that the Coast Guard has only got the staff to protect and look at 1% of the containers that come into this country every year. He's got to put out a national plan. He's got to address aviation safety. There's going to be a new Assistant Secretary of Transportation to head up a whole agency for this. But we're clearly behind the power curve. We have some of these problems we've known about for decades, if nothing else. Some of them are new problems, but we're not moving as rapidly as we should to address them.
What do you do to stop someone, though, at an airport who decides to fly a plane into a building? Is there anything that can be done? Do you know of anything that could be put on the tarmac, perhaps, to stop the plane?
I suspect we could find something to do that. Now, the real question is, what happens if somebody who is legitimate, has a license, has the right to fly, owns the plane, takes it off in legitimate course, and then decides, for whatever reason, suicide? Somebody, I think, earlier this evening mentioned that, there are cases of suicide. We have a case of the Egyptian air pilot who went down in the Atlantic about a year ago or so. we have no way. I mean, once somebody sort of passes the screens, whatever we set up, if they take it into their heads, or had it always in their heads, to do something with an airplane, there's nothing you can do at that point.
Cause for concern. Dan Garay, our military analyst, thanks so much. We'll be talking to you throughout the next hour. Once again, we're following a developing story for you tonight here at MSNBC. This is a Cessna 172 that's crashed into the side of a building in Tampa, Florida. Information continues to come in on this, and as it does, we will be sharing it with you. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Time to get up. Come on.
They are the alarm clocks, the cheering sections, and comforters. They nourish you and your dreams. And because they know what's inside you makes all the difference, they give you Campbell's chicken noodle soup. Its golden goodness warms you up and keeps you going. So when your dreams come true, remember those moms and dads who helped make it possible. Warm up with Campbell's, official soup supplier of the 2002 Olympic Winter Games.
Thinking about Viagra? It's now available in a free 6-pill sample pack.
6? That's my number.
So get in the driver's seat and ask about the free Viagra sample pack.
Get to your doctor for a checkup and find out if a free sample of Viagra is right for you.
For more information, race over to Viagra.com.
Cock-a-doodle, don't you just love starting the day with a little sip of me? Bulges Cafe Latte. I'm so rich and frothy. I'm delicious. I'm scrumptious. Who loves me, baby? Oh, no, not a paper cup. I'm more along the lines of fine china. Paper cups are for the dentist. And you ain't exactly rinsing and spitting, you dig?
Folgers Cafe Latte, the big-headed coffee.
Hey, baby, is it frothy in here or is it just me?
If you suffer from any of these health problems, a relaxing, affordable Craftmatic adjustable bed with built-in massage and soothing heat may provide the temporary relief from pain you've been looking for. Call toll-free now so we can mail you our free information pack. Inside are facts about the Craftmatic Model 2 that costs hundreds less than many quality flatbeds, and the Craftmatic Model 3 that is 50% less than the Model 2's low cost. 50% less. Call now and we'll also mail you this special free $200 off rebate certificate. It's good for $200 off the Craftmatic Model 1 bed of your choice. Don't suffer needlessly. Get the facts about the affordable adjustable beds that may provide temporary relief. Call for this helpful free money-saving information right away. There's absolutely no obligation.
Call 1-800-641-1919 toll-free. That's 1-800-641-1919. Call toll-free 1-800-641-1919.
Rick Sanchez in the world headquarters of MSNBC. It is a developing story that we have been following for you. A Cessna 172 piloted into the side of a building. It's the 28th floor of the Bank of America building. It's a 42-story building there in Tampa, Florida. The pilot, a 9th grade honors student. We're following the story, and we're joined now by Ken Quinn, a former FAA general counsel. The key question here, if you thought security was tight before, you really ain't seen nothing yet, because it probably will get a whole lot tighter after an incident like this. Mr. Quinn, would you vouch for that?
Well, that's right, Rick. I mean, this has the potential to reignite a raging debate that went on after September 11th regarding some would say, the weakest link in security, and that is a lot of general aviation and corporate aviation where we don't have positive control over the airplane and the flight crew and the passengers to the same degree that we do in commercial aviation with the amount of screening of the passengers and luggage that we have. And there are many mayors of large cities and others that understandably wanted to protect their airspace, and many general aviation people feeling that fundamental freedom of flight was at issue and that they were grounded too long and restricted for far too long, and the FAA's very recently let that leash grow considerably longer, and it may well be pulled back.
Can you give our viewers a sense of how many of these corporate aviation and general aviation airports there are around the country? And we don't obviously need an exact number, but to what degree is this going to be a very difficult undertaking for government officials?
Well, it's a huge undertaking. You have about 420 commercial service airports and thousands of general aviation airports And the Florida aviation area in particular is quite active. The number of flight academies down there to do student training like this individual was going through. It's a very vibrant general aviation environment, one that has served our economy and our trade and has served as the training ground for air transport pilots going into initially charter and then commercial aviation. So it's a very important aspect of the aviation industry, which is about 10% of our gross national product overall in terms of travel and tourism. So we have to be careful about not unduly restricting it.
Well, here we are again, though, talking about student pilots and what student pilots could or could not do to engender or endanger, the general population. Are the regulations, when it comes to student pilots, stringent enough as they are right now?
Well, that's part of the debate that took place after September 11th, and there have been more restrictions imposed on flight academies who are to go through more background checks of student pilots. I was once a student pilot. There was very little in the way of a background check and very little in terms of restrictions on flight other than the airspace and the map and the aeronautical charts that you navigate through. And if you do encroach in restricted airspace or you're somehow endangering flight, the FAA can suspend or revoke your certificate, as they frequently do. But that's not really going to stop a suicidal general aviation pilot or student pilot, and it becomes very difficult to scramble F-15s or Coast Guard cutters to helicopters to try to intercept. And those decisions can lead to tragedy as well.
Who is the onus on? The instructors, the aviation school, to perhaps see someone who might be a risk and immediately contact the government officials?
Well, I think so. That never used to be the case, but I think now all of the flight academies around the country are facing enormous scrutiny by the FAA, the Inspector General, in some cases the criminal investigatory agencies. They're trying to impose new rules and tighten the background checks, and of course they're all loyal patriots, citizens themselves, wanting to report anything suspicious, like we had of that one of the suspected terrorists who only wanted to use a flight simulator to fly the airplane but not practice how to take off or land, and they justifiably went to the FBI and alerted them. I think there's a lot more of that going on in the country right now, but no doubt this could be a tinderbox to re-trigger that whole debate.
This plane that we happen to be looking at right now in these live pictures is a Cessna 172. Really a rather small plane, thank goodness. Wasn't able to do as much damage to this large building in Tampa, Florida, the Bank of America building.
Right.
What other type of airplanes are flown out of general aviation?
Well, this is in the same category, single-engine land, like I originally got in my ticket. So Cessna was a great airplane, wonderful airworthy airplane. The Pipers and Beech, either single-engine or twin-engine aircraft, propeller-driven, are very common and form the backbone of the general aviation fleet. And again, they are the feeder for the charter and commercial aviation fleets out there, not only to provide the training, but they provide very useful services for getting people around and moving goods and services at a time when a lot of people, too, are thinking about more use of general and corporate aviation to, in essence, circumvent some of the delay and the congestion and, frankly, the security problems that are existing at some of the major hub airports. So it's a problem. It's a problem that they're obviously going to have to come up with some answers for. Ken Quinn, former FAA General Counsel, good information. Thanks so much for joining us. Good evening. Good day.
We're going to take a quick break right now, and we'll be right back with more coverage of this plane crashing into a building in Tampa, Florida. You're watching MSNBC.
Stay with MSNBC, the best news on cable.
You can express your opinion about the environment on your car, or you can do it with your car. It's America's first gasoline-electric hybrid, the Insight from Honda. The most fuel-efficient car in the world.
Remember that feeling of having to stay inside the lines? It's sort of like communicating on the internet today. Now imagine an internet service that lets you fully express yourself. Break the boundaries with AT&T WorldNet Service Plus. After all, why just send a typeface when you can send your face with video email? And with the most reliable connections, our instant messaging and chat will keep you connected. Plus, you can get web access by phone free until March, so you can check your emails from anywhere. All from the internet service named Best ISP by PC World. And all for just $16.95 a month, nearly 30% less than AOL. Now get 1 month free when you sign up for AT&T WorldNet service. So call 1-800-WorldNet today and kiss ordinary ISPs goodbye. AT&T WorldNet Service Plus. Pretty hot, huh?
Every Sunday at 8 on MSNBC's National Geographic Explorer. Travel with the world's most renowned filmmakers on a weekly expedition of amazing discovery. Explorer puts you in the middle of the action, on the front lines, off the map, and into the wildest reaches of the natural world. National Geographic Explorer. 16 years experience, 42 Emmy Awards, one place to watch. Explorer, every Sunday night at 8, only on MSNBC.
Looking for the leader in cable news? Your search is over. It's MSNBC. Breaking news? They're there first. A big story? They get it right. A really big story? They own it. MSNBC. They go farther. They dig deeper. They do whatever it takes, and when they're done, you get it. Isn't that what you expect from the leader? MSNBC. The best people, the big stories. Just a few more reasons MSNBC is the leader in cable news. National Geographic Explorer, Sundays at 8, only on MSNBC.
Welcome back, everyone, to the world headquarters of MSNBC. I'm Rick Sanchez, and we are following a developing story. What you're looking at there is happening on the 28th floor of a 42-story professional building in Tampa, Florida. It's called the Bank of America building, and that is what is left of a Cessna 172 airplane, a four-seater, that has crashed into the side of a building. It was being piloted at the time by Charles Bishop. Charles Bishop is a 9th grade honor student who was taking flying lessons. We're all over the story, and we'll have the very latest as we head into our next hour here on MSNBC.
Oh. What's the matter, honey? Oh, heartburn. I know just what you need.
Alka-Seltzer Heartburn Relief. Faster than Pepcid AC or the leading prescription. Alka-Seltzer Heartburn Relief.
These two women started scrubbing their bathtubs at the same time. The woman on the right used deeper penetrating scrubbing bubbles. The woman on the left is using Tilex. Be done with scum faster with scrubbing bubbles. They work even harder, so you don't have to.
Got a cold? Trying anything to get a good night's sleep? Right. You need NyQuil. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine.
How would you like to lose that big belly and save big money? Then you need the Abdur system, designed to aerobically burn fat as it flattens your abs in just minutes a day, and it's yours for a fraction of the cost. Look, ab machines strengthen muscles but won't reduce your waist, and some exercises can make your muscles bigger. Only the Abdur's rotating torso trimmer targets your upper abs, lower abs, and obliques, all in one fat-burning circular motion. You'll flatten your stomach in weeks, not months. We guarantee it.
Before I started using the Abdur system, I was very unhappy the way I looked. Ever since I started using the Abdur system, I started seeing immediate results, and I feel so much happier and more confident in everything I do.
These machines cost up to $8,000. The Abdur does the work of all these machines. Millions have sold for 5 payments of only $29.95. But if you call now, we'll lower the price to 5 payments of only $19.95. That's a $50 savings. Plus, you get the Abdovix nutritional guide and motivational video free. We guarantee you'll lose at least 2 inches in just 10 days or your money back. So call now.
Who are the 22 terrorists on the world's most wanted list? Find out in an all-new MSNBC Investigates, next on MSNBC.
wherever news happens in the world, that's where we'll be.
At NBC News, we take a complicated story,
Look at it from every angle and report it in a way that helps you better understand.
That's why more Americans watch NBC News
than any other news organization in the world.
NBC News, America's news leader.
How Rudy Giuliani showed the world what New Yorkers are really made of on Headliners and Legends, tomorrow at 10 on MSNBC.
Welcome back, everyone, to the world headquarters of MSNBC. I'm Rick Sanchez, and we are continuing to follow a developing story for you. This is a Cessna 172 that was being piloted by a 15-year-old honor student. He was in 9th grade at Eastlake High School. At about 5 o'clock, Charles Bishop was dropped off at the airport by his grandmother. He was to take lessons there at a flight school called National Aviation Flight School and Aircraft Rentals. According to all indications, he did not wait for his instructor. He did not wait for authorization, and without both, he took off in the plane. Oh, the Coast Guard was immediately contacted. They followed. They tried to get him down, but they were unable to do so. He then flew the plane directly into this building. At least one witness is saying tonight that she saw no indications that he tried to maneuver the plane to miss the building, which has led some officials tonight in Tampa to say that it does appear that this was a deliberate attempt to fly the plane into the building. Once again, Charles Bishop is the only one who lost his life in this accident. There were 15 people in the Bank of America building at the time, but we understand that none of them were injured. The FBI has been contacted. They have been dispatched to the scene, and they have agents now investigating the case. But this is what we can tell you as to whether or not there are any possible connections to terrorism. White House spokesperson Scott McClellan is saying tonight that there are no indications of terrorism, at least not at this point, according to any of the information that has been learned. Now, the crash occurred on a clear day, shortly after 5 p.m. It's the 28th floor of the Bank of America building. And again, this is a 42-story professional building. It's at the intersection of Ashley and Kennedy Boulevard there in downtown Tampa. This is a building that's prominent on the Tampa skyline. It's occupied by numerous businesses, including some law offices, some accounting firms, and other services. The plane itself, by the way, was also owned by National Aviation Holdings Incorporated. That's the school there that's based in St. Petersburg, Florida. No immediate indication. Now, we understand WFLA is following the story. I understand their 11 o'clock news is about to begin, so let's go ahead and dip in.
The news center, Channel 8, is right here on the Hillsborough River, and right across from it is the Bank of America building where the plane hit. We got out here just moments after the crash. We saw everything that was going on, but we were evacuated fairly quickly after we got out here, but we certainly witnessed our share of chaos.
Let's go! Let's go! Over there! This way! Let's go!
Moments after the crash, a speedy evacuation. Some ran, others froze. They had to stop and watch. Firefighters, police, and National Guardsmen scrambled as the tail of the plane dangled off the 28th floor of the Bank of America building. Eyewitnesses were dazed as they described the impact.
And I seen the plane just dive right in. When it dove right in, I just heard a big crack. At first I thought it was a tree, you know. Then all of a sudden I seen the part of the wing there, and I looked up and seen that, and there was the other wing fall down right there. One wingtip there and one wingtip over there.
The wings smashed to the ground without hurting anyone, and everyone inside the Bank of America building cleared out safely. The Coast Guard helicopter, which pursued and tried to stop the plane before it crashed, hovered helplessly over the scene. Ray Kennedy witnessed the Coast Guard pursuit.
You could tell the Coast Guard had identified him and they were on him, but what can they do? I mean, they don't have any kind of equipment to do anything other than just identify him. So the moment we saw him identify, I mean, when we saw it thud, we came running over here. It was instinctive to come over and see what happened.
I guess you know, a lot of people that we talked to today were just simply shocked watching all of this happen, but we also ran into our fair share of emotion. We saw some tears, people very emotional about this because no one really knew what had happened. Most people in the end decided that it really was an accident, but you know, of course, it's very jarring. It was jarring for us to watch this from the news center, and so we definitely saw a lot of emotion out here today. Back to you.
Well, it certainly brings back some very grim memories from the 11th of September. Sam, we know there were an awful lot of folks out there earlier this evening. Has it cleared out any?
Definitely. I would say there were hundreds of people out here surrounding this entire area between Kennedy and Ashley, but you really just see a scattering of onlookers right now. Nothing like what it was before, which of course is very important in controlling traffic around here, and this is still a very dangerous situation. Back to you.
Okay, thanks. Samaritsotis reporting from downtown Tampa. And you may want to stay away from the downtown area. A lot of roads are closed tonight, including the Kennedy Bridge, and may remain closed, certainly until they get that plane out of the window.
And we've learned the pilot, 15-year-old Charles Bishop, was an honors student at Eastlake High School. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Department says Bishop had been taking flight lessons for 2 years, but he was certainly not authorized to fly by himself. Pinellas reporter Mark Douglas is learning more information about Bishop tonight. He's live at the airport where all of this began. Mark?
This extraordinary turn of events today began with a simple flight lesson here at the National Aviation Flight School. Behind me, you can still see it under guard by sheriff's deputies tonight. A flight instructor gave Charles Bishop the keys to a Cessna for a simple and pretty typical pre-flight safety inspection, and that in turn set into motion a series of tragic events. There are a number of shiny white Cessnas similar to the one Charles Bishop crashed still on the flight line of National Aviation. Before anyone could stop him, authorities say Bishop started the plane he was inspecting for his flight lesson, taxied away, and took off for Tampa without his instructor.
We do not know why, and we do not know reasons for the aircraft going into the building in Tampa. We may never know that.
Air traffic controllers inside St. Pete Clearwater's tower quickly notified the Coast Guard of the Cessna's uncleared takeoff. A Jayhawk helicopter already on Homeland Security patrol intercepted the Cessna and tried to gesture with hand signals for Bishop to land. He never acknowledged those signals. After the crash, investigators with the FAA, the FBI, the FDLE, Coast Guard, and the Sheriff's Office huddled at National Aviation's hangar for hours.
Talking with the family here, they're being interviewed by the FBI and the FAA. They will conduct their investigations. The Sheriff's Office involvement at this point is the stolen aircraft and any information that we may be able to obtain about that aircraft and why it was stolen.
Charles Bishop's grandmother drove him to his flight lesson here tonight because, ironically, he was too young to even drive a car. He lives in Palm Harbor, and presumably that's where he came from earlier today. Now, Bishop has trained here since March. The Sheriff's Office has been saying he has 2 years of flight training, but at this particular facility, he has only been here since March and, in fact, has only logged about 6 hours of flight time. Not a serious student, according to the owners of this flight center in that respect. They did want to encourage him, however. They said he was an awkward teenager, an awkward boy with his own adolescence, and they were trying to encourage him in flying more so they would actually barter with him and allow him to wash airplanes and do other flight line chores in exchange for flight lessons. Back to you.
Mark, of course, the big question is still why. Did you get any feel for his demeanor today?
There is some unconfirmed reports, 2 different reports we heard, that he did exhibit despondency. He was making certain remarks that indicated some foreshadowing of what happened. Nothing official.
And that's a signal that we've been following for you from NBC station WFLA there in Tampa, Florida. The latest information, as you were hearing there from reporter Mark Douglas, is the state of mind of this young man, which is obviously something that FBI officials are trying to get themselves as they interview family members, in particular his grandmother, who at all indications seemed to point to the fact that she was the last person to be with him before he got on the plane. You heard the reporter refer to some witnesses describing as a certain level of despondency with him. Also that he was an awkward teenager. Interestingly enough, they make the point that he was too young to drive, but not too young, pardon me, to get on an airplane. For those of you who are just now joining us, we're following what is a developing story. It is a Cessna 172 being piloted by a 15-year-old, a 9th grade honor student, and he's driven the plane, or piloted the plane, we should say, right into the side of this building in Tampa, Florida. It's a Bank of America building. This is the 28th floor that you're looking at. The job on hand for some fire officials and police there is to both secure the area and eventually take down what is left of that Cessna 172. Joining us now is Sam Gardner. He's a retired Air Force colonel. He's been following developments here for us. Interesting to hear, Colonel, moments ago, that FBI officials, according to the report that we're getting from WFLA, are on the scene and they're already interviewing family members. What do you suspect they're hoping to find out?
Well, I suspect that that question of terrorism, and I think that's an important distinction or a point that you have made a couple times during the evening, which is the White House has said that this is not an act of terrorism, but clearly it's an act which causes terror. And if you are in charge of Homeland Security, that's what you have to worry about. And I think that that's why the FBI is involved, so that there is the sense of security. That's what really is important in Homeland Security, is that we feel secure.
Well, there's this underlying message these days when we say not an act of terrorism. Do we really imply this is not related to September 11th? This may not be related to Al-Qaeda or the Taliban specifically?
I think we do. Yes, we try and make that separation. But in fact, if the Secretary of Defense, about the third week after the September 11th...
Colonel, can you hold that thought for just a moment? We're going to come back to you in just a minute. We're going to dip into WFLA because there's a new report we can learn something from. Let's do that now.
From where I sit at my desk inside of the news center every day. Right now, city officials are very concerned about a weather front that's moving through here later tonight. They're concerned about the wind. The plan right now is to move a huge crane into place to remove what's left of the tail section of that aircraft from outside of the Bank of America building. They're setting up that crane right now, but despite all of the problems they had tonight, emergency crews did have some things going in their favor, starting with the fast response.
I said to my sister, Janine, look, that plane is coming in awful low, and she goes, oh my God, and right as I said that, it went straight into the building, right level, right into the building.
Christine Epstein and her sister watched in disbelief as the plane hit.
There was no flames, there wasn't a loud noise, it was very quiet. We saw everything, the debris starting to fall.
They watched the Coast Guard helicopter follow the plane and then watched the police response on the ground.
Police cars were there almost instantaneously.
Immediately, I just jumped in the car. What went through my head was horrible.
Mayor Dick Greco wasn't far behind.
Our fire department went to work immediately, put foam in the room up there and made sure some of the gas didn't flow down to other floors. Everybody's done a great job.
Tampa fire rescue units are working from inside of the building to secure the plane. Deputy Chief Terry Jones has seen it all from inside of the office where the plane hit.
Havoc, just debris everywhere.
Now he's helping to supervise efforts to have the plane removed with a huge crane.
It's a 55-story crane, so should handle the situation very well. Right now we're waiting on them to get started on that. In the meantime, we have crews on the 28th and 29th floor that are also rigging and holding the plane in place. We have some bad weather moving into later tonight, so we're racing against time trying to get that done.
Now, as we've been watching from here on the ground, they've been trying to illuminate the aircraft from outside of the building with the large spotlight. We've been told that they're moving that crane into place as we speak. They expect it to take about an hour and a half to set up the crane, and then only about a half an hour or maybe an hour to remove the tail section of the aircraft from outside of the building. We're told that it's a disaster expert crew that will be doing the work. And we're also told that the tail section only weighs a couple of 100 pounds. As you can imagine, though, it's not a very stable structure at this time because of its contact with the building. But they do expect to be able to remove it, hopefully, before that weather front hits. Back to you.
28 floors up. Thanks. Jeff Patterson reporting live tonight.
Dozens of astonished eyewitnesses saw the crash or events leading up to it, and while the plane was much smaller and the impact certainly not as severe, it was still an awful lot like what happened just over 3 months ago in New York and Washington, D.C. We continue our team coverage now with Vicki Lim. Vicki?
Well, Bob, we met some folks earlier on today who were dining just across the Hillsborough River. All they wanted was good food and a good view from Jackson's restaurant on Harbor Island, and unfortunately, for better or worse, they got what they ordered.
We heard the helicopter, and that got our attention.
Darcy Snyder brought Bethany Roper to Jackson's restaurant on Harbor Island to enjoy a nice dinner and a spectacular view.
I don't know if it was plane or chasing. It looked suspicious.
They saw the Coast Guard helicopter. the plane, and the crash into the 20th floor of the Bank of America building.
You know, they were just kind of swerving in and out from each other, and we were watching them, and all of a sudden the helicopter seemed to back off, I guess, and all of a sudden just bam, the plane flew right into the building.
And we were just in amazement. We looked at each other in awe and said, that plane just hit the building.
They say debris flew, but no fire, no smoke, and they themselves shivered, recalling a similar deadly incident not too long ago, 9/11.
It was just crazy. I was shaking like a leaf, like, here we go again.
Darcy and Bethany are relieved this is not an attack, but it's certainly a shocking start to Bethany's vacation. She just arrived in the Bay Area about an hour before the crash. So, how do you like Tampa so far?
Great, full of excitement.
Bethany trying to make the best of the situation. Darcy says she spoke to her son while still at Jackson's.
This is the coverage of NBC station WFLA in Tampa, Florida, and this is the story. You're looking at it. The image really tells much of the story. It is a 172 Cessna that's crashed into the side of a building. We'll have more. We'll be right back.
What does it take to be the leader? You have to be there. Ashley Banfield, wherever the story goes, she's there. Getting the tough interviews, finding the real answers, making the stuff you can't even imagine make sense. Ashley Banfield. See why the New York Times calls her the most talked about news personality, and why the San Francisco Chronicle simply says she's the one. Ashley Banfield. One more reason MSNBC is the leader in cable news.
Over the years, I've learned that when something works, you stick with it. There you go. After bypass surgery a few years ago, I needed to lower my cholesterol. My doctor told me about Zocor. He said Zocor, along with a healthy diet and exercise, could really lower my cholesterol. Okay, let's do it again. Taking Zocor every day has kept my cholesterol where it should be and significantly reduces the risk of heart attack among people with high cholesterol and heart disease. That's something to feel good about.
Zocor is a prescription medication and is not for everyone, including women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant, or people with liver problems. Your doctor may do blood tests to check for liver problems because serious side effects can result. Tell your doctor about any muscle pain or weakness you experience and about any medicines you are taking.
When diet and exercise aren't enough, ask your doctor about Zocor. Take care of yourself. It's your future. Be there.
How are we going to win on Sunday? How are we going to win on Sunday?
Multiple shifts, lots of play action.
You want expert answers whenever you need them? Come to Office Depot, where our people listen, understand, and help.
How can I make these look like they're not just from my home office?
Some digital photos.
It'd be nice if everything was like that.
And praying doesn't hurt.
Office Depot. What you need to know.
I will not be afraid of the dark.
I will not feel guilty leaving my dog alone.
I will feel better about my dad living by himself.
I will know my children are safe.
I will go on vacation and finally be able to relax!
ADT helps more people feel safe in more ways than any other security company. Call 800-ADT-ASAP or an ADT authorized dealer and get ADT burglary protection installed for as little as $99. You could also save up to 20% off your basic homeowner's insurance.
I will live my life.
My life.
My life.
On my terms!
Call now and get ADT installed from $99, plus up to 20% off homeowner's insurance. ADT. Always there.
You're looking at the 28th floor of a 42-story building in Tampa, Florida. It is where a Cessna 172 has crashed into the side of this building. It was being piloted by a 15-year-old. He's a 9th grade honor student named Charles Bishop, who had shown up earlier this afternoon around 5 p.m. for his flight school classes. He was studying to become a pilot at the National Aviation Flight School and Aircraft Rentals. He according to all indications, did not wait for his instructor, did not wait for authorization, and took it upon himself to fly the plane, and did so by flying the plane into the side of this building. There you see the picture once again of where the plane actually made the impact, and that is what is left of the plane. It is a very difficult task today for both rescue officials and fire officials and police officers there in the city of Tampa, Pinellas County officials as well. What they're going to have to do is somehow take this plane down that's seemingly dangling there. Part of the problem in this particular case is because Tampa is a coastal city, there is a wind tunnel effect that is created because of the winds coming in off of the Gulf Coast. And from time to time, we were actually watching the plane sway from side to side. Since then, if you look closely at the bottom of the screen, you can see that it has been secured with chains onto the 27th floor. And now we see there some of the firefighters actually working on the scene to eventually come up with a game plan to see if they can take the plane down. Joining us is a retired Air Force Colonel, Sam Gardner. We were talking earlier about the White House spokesman, Scott McClellan, and his announcement that there are no indications of terrorism in this case. But you made the point that if someone takes a plane deliberately and slams it into the side of the building, and that's not confirmed at this point, but all indications do seem to point to that, that in and of itself is an act of terror.
It causes terror. The Secretary of Defense, when asked early in October how we would know we won, and he said we'd know we won the war against terrorism when we felt more secure, or as secure that we did on the 10th of September. Because of that, and I think that's really the objective, that even if you aren't from Afghanistan, if you weren't trained at al-Qaeda training camps, you have the ability to cause terror in the environment and in the sort of situation that was created as a result of the 11th of September.
But this incident that we're looking at least according to preliminary indications, is more similar to one of the school shootings that we'd seen in the past, where we had young men apparently having a tough time themselves, dealing with, and we'll use the quote again, despondency, doing something that is, for most of us, difficult to understand. If we look at it on its face, it's more similar to that than it really is September 11th, sans the plane, of course.
Right. It would have been. But as you heard from that Tampa television interview, people didn't see it that way.
Yep, you're right.
People didn't say, this is, oh my goodness, this is another thing like the school shooting. They said, this is like the event in New York and Washington.
And it is because of that, because of everything that's happened at September 11th, that we're at a different level, aren't we?
That's right. And
I mean, as a populace, as a people.
Yes, yes. And because of that, when you think about Homeland Security, I know how people feel about the freedom of flight, but there's also the freedom from fear, and those two come in conflict.
All right, so what do we do? You're in Tom Ridge's shoes, and you know that there's a concern out there, a general fear, and people will be looking at these images tonight and wondering whether we as a nation are safe. It's an obvious question, one that would be expected. What's the role of government in a case like this?
I think that what he will have to do is to find some level beyond where we are today of increased security at the general aviation airports. I don't know what it would be. It would be background checks. We're doing that now, but we're going to add to that no single non-rated person will be allowed in an airplane by himself. Only an instructor pilot and a student together.
Colonel,
some level of increased security.
Colonel Sam Gardner, we hope to be able to pick up the conversation on the other side. In the meantime, let's take a look at these pictures once again as we go to the break, because for the first time, we're actually seeing the firefighters handling what is left of this Cessna 172. We had a conversation earlier with a spokesman for the Tampa Police Department, Joe Durkin, who told us at this point they were still trying to figure out how they were going to be able to get that plane down without causing any more harm to the building. Obviously, the area has already been secured. They've told most of the people who were in the area to get out. In fact, a 2 or 3 block area has already been evacuated there in the area of downtown Tampa. We'll continue to monitor this picture. We'll continue to monitor the story. And as we get more information, we'll be sharing it with you. You're watching MSNBC.
Tomorrow is today, time to change. Make it happen, create it, take it, shape it. Your life belongs to you. Do it real, make it true. It's your life. Be
Slim Fast, smart, well-balanced nutrition to help you eat well and manage your weight.
It's your life. Feed it right. It's your life. Feed it right.
Most people don't realize the toll that anchoring the show takes on the human body. You know, these guys really can't afford to miss a show. So they're always pressuring me to give them a boost. All right, do you want Fred or Barney?
I'll take both. Give me some Dino, too. Come on.
All right. Well, it can be pretty ugly. This is your esophagus. This is your ballpoint pen. This is the 9th time. Most of these guys have maybe 20, 30 good years. 40 tops. You gotta keep the pen away from your mouth. What are we doing here?
I know.
Handle more. Carry less. The Samsung i300 palm-powered phone. Don't be weighed down. Speak up. Hello. 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 This is the mobile world of Samsung, and everyone is invited.
MSNBC, the best news on cable. MSNBC, how did they get to be the leader in cable news in 2001? They were everywhere. For 365 non-stop, round-the-clock days, they brought you the big stories first.
A major breaking development in this.
They broke new ground when Decision 2000 turned into Indecision 2001.
A Bush victory.
Stood strong with every American as we watched our world change forever. And stepped up to the plate when you really needed information or wanted to be safe at home. MSNBC, the right people, the big stories, the best news on cable, enough said. So 2002, bring it on. The people at MSNBC are ready for whatever comes next. See, that's why they're the leader in cable news.
Rick Sanchez in the world headquarters of MSNBC. It is one of those stories where the picture really seems to tell almost all of the story. This is what is left of a Cessna 172 that was flown into the side of a building in Tampa, Florida. White House spokesman Scott McClellan says there are no indications at this point that this was tied to terrorism, but we've been talking to Sam Gardner. He's a retired Air Force colonel who's been giving us his perspective on this and what the government probably now needs to do to at least lower the concerns of people who are looking at an incident like this and wondering just how safe we actually are. You mentioned, Colonel, that the government probably does need to make some more stringent security measures, at least at some of these general and corporate aviation centers around the country.
Yes, I think the issue, Rick, is one, there are two parts to it. One of them is real security and the other is a sense of security. And I think that what has to be done right now, there has to be a visible step that would give the American public a feeling that something is being done, that they would get a sense of security about this, as even though it will, as we had talked before, may never really be solved.
Do you think in cases like this it's the government's role? Do you think Tom Ridge should be on the air with me, Rick Sanchez, tomorrow morning when I go on the air at 8 o'clock, giving a statement essentially saying that this situation is being investigated and that we're going to do whatever is needed to make sure that incidents like this in the future are averted?
I certainly do. I think that there's some studies have been done about what causes insecurity. And what, you know, the sort of the solution to it is that government has to level with the public. There has to be a sense of communication that involves truth-telling, and I think that's part of it. And I really do think that you're right. He ought to be on. He's been very quiet for about a month, but if he's going to deal with this problem, I think he's got to be out in front early.
Sam Gardner, stay with us because hopefully we're going to be able to continue this conversation. We're going to have to take a quick break coming up right here, but let's just try and bring up the viewers up to date on what's going on. Cessna 172 crashes into the side of the building in Tampa, Florida. We're following it for you, and we'll have more. You're watching MSNBC.
You say the word glasses, and people think stereotype. But, you know, it's just the opposite. We really are lucky nowadays. Glasses have never been more fashionable. so many different styles. It's a whole lot easier to express yourself. Experiment. So many chances to become someone new just by changing your glasses. The whole thing, coming into Lens Crafters looking for frames, should be fun. Look around, you'll see what I mean. Are you lucky enough to need glasses?
If you suffer from any of these health problems, a relaxing, affordable Craftmatic adjustable bed with built-in massage and soothing heat may provide the temporary relief from pain you've been looking for. Call toll-free now so we can mail you our free information pack. Inside are facts about the Craftmatic Model 2 that costs hundreds less than many quality flatbeds, and the Craftmatic Model 3 that is 50% less than the Model 2's low cost. 50% less. Call now and we'll also mail you this special free $200 off rebate certificate. It's good for $200 off the Craftmatic Model 1 bed of your choice. Don't suffer needlessly. Get the facts about the affordable adjustable beds that may provide temporary relief. Call for this helpful free money-saving information right away. There's absolutely no obligation.
Call 1-800-641-1919 toll-free. That's 1-800-641-1919. Call toll-free 1-800-641-1919.
John Mapes is 42. Mortgage, married, 2 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. John can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $25 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll search the pick of insurers like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. John's wife, Carrie, can get a $500,000 policy for under $15 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or visit SelectQuote.com.
And welcome back, everyone. I'm Rick Sanchez at the world headquarters of MSNBC. A 6-block area in downtown Tampa has now been cleared because of this scene. You're looking at the 28th floor of a 42-story building in Tampa. It is where a Cessna 172 has crashed into the side of that building. It was being piloted by a 15-year-old 9th grade honor student named Charles Bishop. But the latest reports that we have heard is that Charles Bishop was despondent and that he was described as a bit of an awkward teen. 15 years old would make him too young to drive, but he was able to take flying lessons. Now, he was not authorized to fly this plane by himself. He was showing up there to get flying instructions. He did not wait for his instructor, though, and by all indications got on the plane and may have driven it deliberately into the side of the building. We have been following the story for quite some time, including the latest information that we've been getting from some of the people in the Tampa area, some of which who actually saw the plane crash into the side of the building. This latest report from WFLA in Tampa and reporter Diane Pertmer.
The plane hangs precariously in the air while on the ground. Workers who escaped the building recall how uneventful things seemed at first.
And about 5 o'clock, I felt something hit the side of the building, and I thought it was a pack of birds.
Catherine Hockett works in a law office on the 10th floor and didn't know for at least a half an hour after impact what happened.
An eerie thought. Just eerie, very eerie.
The largest group of workers in the building may have been on the highest floors, preparing the Tampa Club for a pair of large parties.
We actually was peering out the window, looking at all the fire trucks arriving.
Club employees say they never heard or felt the plane smash into the building 13 floors below.
No alarm was sounded in the building, so we actually called security ourselves.
Then September 11th came to mind.
I'm not a fan of heights in the first place, and then after September 11th, you know, all the way at the top, Bank of America. I've been thinking about it ever since it happened, so it's kind of weird that it actually did.
I went in, and the offices, of course, were abandoned.
Attorney Steve Yared went into the building after the crash to hunt for a missing associate, even though he recently visited Ground Zero in New York.
And that so fresh in my mind did cause me problems. But listen, I love that associate lawyer of mine, and I wasn't going to let anything happen.
Once again, the preliminary indications are that this was not an act of terrorism. The president has been briefed about this incident. White House officials have been in touch with Homeland Security Director Tom Ridge and officials with the Federal Aviation Administration. And once again, White House spokesperson Scott McClellan did issue a report saying that there are no indications of terrorism. Still, Americans are left tonight after looking at this with the questions as to whether we are indeed safe. If a 15-year-old can show up at an airport, get on a plane, and drive it into the side of a building, then there obviously are some questions that need to be raised as far as Homeland Security is concerned. Dan Garay is joining us now. He's our military advisor and has been talking to us throughout the evening. Some of the concerns that you have been raising is whether we need to start looking at perhaps tightening up regulations, in particular at some of these corporate and general aviation centers.
Well, I think we have to actually ask the question very clearly. Who gets access to these aircraft? How many? Where? Who gets access? How carefully are they monitored? I mean, some of the same questions we've been doing now on passengers on airlines. And this is not, in fact, we now put, all of our pilots from the major airlines, they go through security the same way that you and I do. What kind of security operation do we have for pilots of large, at least, private aircraft or 2- and 4-engine, commercial, but smaller commercial aircraft? Maybe a totally different world out there.
Is there anything that we could allow the Coast Guard to use? I know for the most part they're used for search and rescue, but they have those Falcon jets that are quite fast, and they have the helicopters that they use for drug interdiction. Is there any weaponry that can be used on some of those planes and helicopters so perhaps they could bring down a plane in an emergency like this?
No, absolutely. I mean, we can go back to sort of almost World War I and, the Baron von Richthofen kind of thing. You don't need much to take down the very light planes. In fact, there was that very ugly incident in Peru earlier this year where they were using essentially an old style aircraft to shoot down, unfortunately, the wrong airplane. Right. You can do that kind of stuff. I mean, the question is, do you really want to? The earlier question, really, the primary one is, do you have the right surveillance and the right monitoring? And there, for example, you could actually use corporate jet to monitor corporate jet. That is, you can do things like take a Gulfstream, for example, load it up with electronics. Instead of having AWACS way up there, very far away, you can use things like Gulfstreams. The Israelis have bought some for electronic warfare, for example. So you could bring all this stuff down to where you could have local monitoring of local airfields. And if you need to do a response, I mean, if this becomes more than a one-off incident, you may have to think about arming some of these aircraft.
There are two approaches, obviously. The secondary one is, what do you do about the plane once it's in the air? But if you can get to it before it gets in the air, you're obviously dealing with the problem much more effectively.
That's right. And from what all we've heard from the various people, former FAA and others, that may be where you have to put the effort, because once they're in the air, the timelines tend to be so short, if you can spot them at all, and the question about are you really going to shoot them down becomes much more difficult in a way because they're smaller than a big 767. If you can stop them on the ground, from anybody getting off the ground who's unauthorized or who may be a risk for whatever reason, you may at least get as close as you're going to get to solving the problem. But that means, obviously, not only the local airports around Tampa, that may mean you have to restrict activity on private dirt strips. There may be a number of different issues here, not all of which can maybe ever be solved.
Here's Dick Greco. He's the mayor of Tampa, and I'll get your reaction to this in just a bit. He arrived at the scene shortly after it happened, and here was his initial reaction. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this.
My reaction was not good. I was in my front yard, which is 4 minutes from here on Harbor Island, and one of the neighbors pulled up and said a plane just hit the Bank of America building, and for some reason in my mind I thought California. And I said, where? She said, downtown. I said, are you sure? She said, well, I just saw it. So I came right over here thinking the very worst. Naturally, you couldn't help it. And as bad as it is, thank God, it wasn't what I was thinking. And everybody's got it under control. We've had all of our safety people are doing a marvelous job. They have it all roped off. Fire department went up into the building immediately, foamed the room and the area for gasoline. Everyone who would have needed to react is on the job and nothing to worry about. They're bringing in a crane right now and going to try to remove the plane this evening. Fortunately, even what happened, if it would have happened on a busy day or rush hour, the wings fell off, could have hurt somebody on the ground.
It's pretty shocking, though.
It is. There's no question about it. Today is not like everything is different the last 3 months for me. I've done this job a long time, 2 separate occasions. I always go to everything that happens that's major, middle of the night, otherwise. They always call me. today when the phone rings in the middle of the night or even in the afternoon, and it's happened 3 times the last couple of days for things I needed to know, I almost hate to answer. Don't know what they're going to say. Things are different. Yes, they are.
Dick Greco is the mayor of Tampa. Sam Sotos is a reporter for WFLA. She's been on the scene since it happened, and she's joining us now live to take us through some of the incidents tonight. Sam, thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot, Rick. Well, right now, the tail of the plane is still dangling here now 7 hours after this crash on the 28th floor of the Bank of America building. And I wanted to give you a perspective of where we are here in Tampa. We are right now on a bridge over the Hillsborough River. So basically this building, the Bank of America building, is really in the center, in the heart of downtown Tampa. And the reason why we got here so fast is because our TV station is right here, right across from the Bank of America building. So when we got here, there was certainly a lot of chaos. We were evacuated immediately, but we certainly did get a sense from all the people here, of course, the shock, but certainly the emotion and the fear of what had happened. And we felt it too. We could see all of it from our newsroom. So it was a very, very jarring experience for everyone here. What's happening right now, as I understand, is they're bringing in a crane that they are trying to set up right now, and they think it's going to take about an hour and a half to set up this crane to bring the tail end of the plane down. The tail end of the plane right now is being secured with cable, but the main thing right now is the weather. The weather is supposed to get very windy, and so of course in this, several hour period that it's going to take to remove this plane, there's always that threat that the tail end of the plane may fall. So again, all of downtown Tampa in the 6th block area has been cordoned off, and no traffic allowed through here, which of course has disrupted some Saturday night activity. But of course the main thing is safety. Rick?
Sam, maybe you could describe for our viewers what the final moments were before that plane actually struck the building. We've already heard from at least one witness. It said the plane did not, or the pilot did not seem to be making any evasive maneuvers to miss the building, almost as if he was making a beeline for the building. Does that pretty much jive with most of the information that you've been hearing from witnesses there that you've talked to as well?
Yeah, and a lot of people saw this Coast Guard helicopter pursuit. They saw the plane not veering in any way, shape, or form, just going straight towards the building. And they also saw the Coast Guard helicopter, which was chasing it, trying to stop this from happening. So a lot of people were really unsure as to what was going on. Was it being escorted? What was happening? And of course, we are right near MacDill Air Force Base, so we see a lot of military planes and a lot of military activity here. So sometimes when we see low-flying planes, we think, okay, this is what's going on as far as MacDill Air Force Base. But this was certainly very scary for people in downtown Tampa just watching this. The plane, as we have been told, did not veer at all, just hit the plane, hit the building, and the Coast Guard helicopter, when we got here, was just hovering helplessly, watching the whole situation.
Have you been able to see how visible have some of these federal officials who are already investigating? I know there's an FBI office there in Tampa. Have they already been briefing reporters, or are they busy trying to do interviews now with some of the family members in particular?
I think the FBI is pretty much consumed with the investigation itself. I have not seen any reports to the media from the FBI. And from here, we can really only see firefighters and the activity of the crane. But outside of that, I think federal officials are pretty much just trying to take care of the situation at hand.
So most of the information that you've been able to garner has been coming from local officials there, both Pinellas County and Tampa Police?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, where we are, we're just talking to police officers who are trying to deal with the traffic and trying to deal with keeping this area secure. So we really don't have access to much of the investigation and much of what is going on inside that building.
Sam Sotos, good information. Thanks so much for bringing us up to date on the situation there in downtown Tampa. And once again, Dan Garay is joining us to bring us up to date on what his perspective is on really a story that's going to cause some government officials to scratch their heads and try and come up with some solutions, you would think, wouldn't you?
They thought it was bad enough when you were dealing with major airports and 5,000 commercial flights and the millions of commercial passengers and all that, and getting that whole system stood up. And now you find that in addition to that, in addition to port security and railroad security and buses, now you got to deal with all the small, or at least think about dealing with all the small airports airports and airplanes in the country. It is a monumental task, particularly for a free country.
As one producer said earlier in the day here, if you thought security was tight, get ready. It's going to probably get a whole lot tighter. Let's take a look at this picture here as we go to the break, because we did just get some new information from Sam Soto's there in Tampa from WFLA, and that is that they're now going to be bringing in a crane to try and get this, what's left of this plane, down from the 28th floor of the Bank of America building there. We're following it for you, and we'll have more right here on MSNBC.
Can I get life insurance at my age, in my health?
I'd like to leave my loved ones with a little something when I'm gone, but I'm afraid I'm too old to get life insurance.
If you're like these nice folks and thought life insurance after 45 was impossible to get or impossible to afford, I've got good news. If you're 45 to 79, Physicians Life guarantees you up to $10,000 of permanent modified whole life insurance, designed to help your family with the expenses they will face. You cannot be turned down because of your health. You can buy this insurance policy if you're 45 to 79 and you're insured for life, no questions asked. Just $1 pays for your first full month of protection. After that, you can continue at a monthly renewal rate that can never go up. Plus, your coverage can never be canceled because of your age or health. Easy to get and easy to afford. Now let me tell you why this protection is so important. All of us someday may leave behind expenses for our loved ones to pay. There's no escaping it. These expenses can easily add up to thousands of dollars. You know, some people even expect the government to take care of these expenses. But the fact is, Social Security currently pays a death benefit of just $255, and only if you qualify. That's why I urge you to take a look at this coverage. It's one sure way you can help leave your loved ones with dollars instead of debts. I'm proud to be their paid spokesman. This is one phone call your loved ones will be thankful for later. So call right now.
To get your free information kit directly by mail, call toll-free 1-800-282-9700. There's no cost or obligation. You're just calling for information. That's 1-800-282-9700.
We're here when you need us. Physicians Life.
Is your child protected for the future? Gerber, the baby people you've known since you were an infant, offers you a way to help with that protection through their Grow Up Plan for Children. It's a $5,000 cash value insurance program that costs less than $1 a week. At age 21, that protection doubles to $10,000 with absolutely no increase in premiums. In addition to automatically doubling at age 21, the plan also guarantees the right to $50,000 of insurance by age 28, regardless of health or occupation. So call now for your free information package. Any healthy child 12 and under is eligible to apply. No medical examination is necessary. Simply answer a few questions. As a special feature, your first month's premium is $1. The Gerber Life Grow Up Plan. To show that you care, call now.
Call 1-800-391-0707. The information package is free. There's no obligation. So call 1-800-391-0707.
Approximately at 5 o'clock, I was on the 10th floor. I work for the law firm of Murray, Marin, and Herman. We do aviation defense law. And I was just in there working on the west side of the building, and I heard something like what I thought was a pack of birds, or I just couldn't imagine a plane had hit the building.
It wasn't a pack of birds, and in fact it was a plane that hit the building, a small plane, thank goodness, a Cessna 172, a four-seater. It was being piloted by a 15-year-old named Charles Bishop. That woman is one of many witnesses who described the scene. Good news for Tampa officials. It happened past 5 p.m. There were workers in that building earlier in the day, but at the time the incident happened, reportedly only 15 people were in the building, and none of them was hurt. There was one person killed, and that was the pilot of the plane. He is described as a 15-year-old who had been somewhat despondent lately. His name is Charles Bishop. He's a 9th grade honors student who was taking flying lessons at the time. Now, we want to let you hear what Pinellas County officials had to say. The gentleman you're about to hear from is Greg Tida. He's a public information officer with Pinellas County.
At about 1650 hours, a Cessna 172, it's a single-engine instructor aircraft,
It was to be piloted by an instructor and a student pilot who's been identified as Charles J. Bishop. His date of birth is 2/8/86. As I've said, he is from Palm Harbor. He's also an Eastlake High School student. Again, I've learned that he's possibly an honor student. There's been no indication that there's any trouble in his background as far as criminal activity. His Palm Harbor address is 3710 Hayden Port in Palm Harbor. His mother's name is Karen Johnson. Correction on that. The mother's name is Julia Bishop. The grandmother's name is Karen Johnson. Her address is 4042 Salem Square Parkway in Palm Harbor. I understand that Karen Johnson brought Charles to the airport for his flight instruction tonight, which was to have taken place between 5 and 7 o'clock. 1650 hours, though that plane was not ready to depart, the instructor told young Charles to do a pre-flight on the Cessna. Pre-flight would be to see if the aircraft is ready to be flown. We understand that he got in the aircraft and departed on runway 35 right without the permission of the instructor and without his knowledge that the aircraft was actually being stolen. I also have learned that the instructor, who I have not been able to get his name, was to have been flying with him tonight. However, he did not get on that aircraft. The plane departed, and at about 17:15 hours, which is about the same time that we understand impact took place in Tampa, the airspace in St. Pete, Tampa, and of course MacDill was closed. That airspace at MacDill was breached by this aircraft for a short time as it was flying east. We do not know why, and we do not know reasons for the aircraft going into the building in Tampa, and we may never know that. Talking with the family here, they're being interviewed by the FBI and the FAA. They will conduct their investigations. The Sheriff's Office involvement at this point is the stolen aircraft and any information that we may be able to obtain about that aircraft and why it was stolen.
Now, this happened in broad daylight, so there were several witnesses who saw this take place. Many of them obviously stunned, and many of them became very emotional because of what's happened in this country since September 11th, and obviously the incident on September 11th specifically. Victoria Lynn is a reporter at WFLA in Tampa. She spoke to two witnesses who just happened to be traveling to Tampa on this day, and they saw what happened. Here's what Victoria Lynn found out.
We heard the helicopter, and that got our attention.
Darcy Snyder brought Bethany Roper to Jackson's restaurant on Harbor Island to enjoy a nice dinner and a spectacular view.
I don't know if it was plane or chasing. It looked suspicious.
They saw the Coast Guard helicopter, the plane, and the crash into the 20th floor of the Bank of America building.
You know, they were just kind of swerving in and out from each other, and we were watching them, and all of a sudden the helicopter seemed to back off, I guess, and all of a sudden just bam, the plane flew right into the building.
And we were just in amazement. We looked at each other in awe and said, that plane just hit the building.
They say debris flew, but no fire, no smoke, and they themselves shivered, recalling a similar deadly incident not too long ago, 9/11.
It was just crazy. I was shaking like a leaf, like, here we go again.
Darcy and Bethany are relieved this is not an attack, but it's certainly a shocking start to Bethany's vacation. She just arrived in the Bay Area about an hour before the crash.
So, how do you like Tampa so far? Great, full of excitement.
There was a reaction to this from the federal government. It came, though, from Homestead Air Reserve Base, which is way down south from Tampa, Florida. They immediately scrambled two F-15 fighter jets to hopefully try and see if they can get to the scene to intercept the plane. They weren't able to do so. They weren't able to get there. Nonetheless, this is the information that's coming from Pentagon officials. It was supplied to us moments ago by reporter Nora O'Donnell. Here is her report.
Tonight, a NORAD official tells MSNBC that the FAA did request assistance from NORAD and that two F-15 fighter jets were scrambled out of Homestead Air Reserve Base in Florida. These two F-15s established a CAP, a Combat Air Patrol. We are told they were brought back down at about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because the FAA no longer required their assistance, in the words of this NORAD official. There are over 100 fighter jets at some 30 bases across the country on strip alert, ready to go within minutes when there is a pilot in distress, or whether a plane has gone off course, or whether a plane has taken off without authorization, as was the case in this incident in Florida. So we know this was a precautionary measure. The F-15s put up in the air. They can be ready in any case, ready to go to take precautionary measures to make sure that it's not a more serious threat. Nora O'Donnell, MSNBC, the Pentagon.
We're down to a couple of minutes in our coverage. Want to let you know that as we watch this picture, it has changed somewhat because they are bringing a crane that's going to move what's left of this plane, and it looks like at least some of the plane has already been moved. Dan Garay, our military expert, Sam Gardner, retired Air Force colonel, acting as our aviation expert. We've got 2 minutes. Each of you get a half of that, I imagine. And let's start with you, Dan, as we do this round robin. Your perspective on this tonight.
Well, yeah, in one sense, this is just potentially an unlucky incident, a tragedy, if you will. On the other hand, it does remind us just how vulnerable this society remains. This is Tampa, Florida. MacDill Air Force Base is the home of Central Command, which is running the war.
Isn't that funny how stories sometimes come together? Here we have a plane that crossed the airspace of the very place, CENTCOM, where Operation Enduring Freedom is being run from.
Now, you would have thought, having said that, that base would have the capability and even the authority, if its airspace were breached, to in fact fire on that target, and it doesn't have that. I mean, we're still not used to thinking about...
We don't know at this point whether that happened or whether it was a possibility, right?
They really don't have the equipment. They don't typically, I shouldn't say that, have the equipment available to do that. But, you know, that's not something we've been thinking about. We've thought about it with air caps over cities against airliners. But the idea that you might have to defend domestic institutions...
I promised Sam Gardner some time, and you're cutting into it. So, Dan, I'm going to have to stop you there. Sam Gardner, Colonel, your perspective.
Well, I would just say that the White House said it's not an act of terrorism, but clearly from what you've heard all evening, it's an act which causes terror. And it's the kind of thing that is going to have to be dealt with if we're going to feel the security that we wanted to before the September 11th.
We're going to be on the air again at 7 a.m. tomorrow, picking up on this story, and we'll bring you the very latest on it then. As we leave you tonight, we bring you pictures of what appears to be the first movement of the plane itself. We can't see the crane, but you can certainly see what would hang the plane off of it, and it does appear they're at least getting rid of it. I'm Rick Sanchez. We'll see you right here at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Good night.
Oh, stuffed crust. Stuffed crust. Cheese stuff. Tonight, I want your stuffed crust. You the cheese, you the cheese.
Don't tell me the pizza delivery guy saw you like that.
It's not delivery. It's DiGiorno.
New cheese stuffed crust pizza. So much cheese in the crust, it's hard to believe it's not delivery. It's DiGiorno.
Want to see a bright idea from Crest? It's dual action whitening. It not only whitens your teeth, it helps keep them whiter by repelling new stains. For a smile that nothing can tarnish. Dual action whitening from Crest.
Every Sunday at 8 on MSNBC's National Geographic Explorer. Travel with the world's most renowned filmmakers on a weekly expedition of amazing discovery. Explorer puts you in the middle of the action, on the front lines, off the map, and into the wildest reaches of the natural world. National Geographic Explorer. 16 years experience, 42 Emmy Awards, one place to watch. Explorer, every Sunday night at 8, only on MSNBC.
Tough times require tough talk.
This is the language that scares the hell out of people.
This is just the guys.
How do you know they're the bad guys?
Chris, I don't know what you're smoking. Weeknights at 7, Hardball with Chris Matthews. Another reason MSNBC is the leader in cable news.
The leader of Iraq is an evil man.
Find out why he may be next on America's list. Saddam Hussein on Headliners and Legends. Next on MSNBC.
Why is MSNBC the best news on cable? One name, Lester Holt. For the big stories, Lester's on the air, even when he's in the air. On time, on point, only on one network. America at War with Lester Holt. Weeknights at 11 on MSNBC, the leader in cable news.
Live from Detroit, get a first look at the new cars the Big Three hope will put them back on the road to profits. Monday on CNBC Business Center at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Wherever news happens in the world, that's where we'll be.
At NBC News, we take a complicated story,
Look at it from every angle and report it in a way that helps you better understand.
That's why more Americans watch NBC News
than any other news organization in the world.
NBC News, America's news leader.
In a world at war against terrorism, Saddam Hussein may be our next target.
We have no choice but to drive Saddam from Kuwait by force.
Over a decade ago, America drew a line in the sand and drove him out of Kuwait.
He's a bully from the streets of the Middle East.
And Saddam Hussein sits there on his oil, wasting the wealth of the nation.
Still, he threatens the world.
He is an amazing survivor.
A leader hated by many, revered by some, and feared by so many more.
He's kind of like a mob boss. In some ways, he's almost the Tony Soprano of Iraq.
I saw into the heart of darkness of a weapons program the world had not known before. A witch's brew of terror.
What does he want, and how far will he go?
He wants to be the knight of the Arab world.
With all of his brutality, he still comes out ahead.
In this hour, his schemes, his secrets, and how he survives. Saddam Hussein.
This is Headliners and Legends with Matt Lauer.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Headliners and Legends. He's one of the most powerful and brutal dictators of our time, and one of the world's most durable leaders. But for all of the headlines Saddam Hussein has generated, from the Persian Gulf War to his efforts in developing biological weapons, the personal story behind his rise to power is little known to most Americans. What are his goals? What's behind his rise to power? And what enables him to stay there?
While the world waited, Saddam Hussein systematically raped, pillaged, and plundered a tiny nation.
The world is watching Saddam Hussein to see if he follows the words he uttered with deeds.
There's no question that the leader of Iraq is an evil man.
He has been a nightmare for and a nemesis to 3 American presidents. But somehow he has managed to survive, to the anger and the wonder of the Western world.
We have not been able to remove the man and have an Iraq that would satisfy its neighbors and satisfy us. He has won.
His regime, one of documented murder, torture, horror, poisonous stews of chemical weapons. How has Saddam Hussein held on for so long?
If we've learned nothing else about Saddam Hussein, it's that he puts his own personal welfare above that of his country and his people.
Who could have predicted this boy born to poverty would rise to power in the presidential palace?
Saddam means the one who confronts people.
The name his mother gave him is perhaps an omen.
Saddam means something like clasher or leveler or something like that, but it has connotations of violence in it.
Saddam Hussein never knew his father. When he is born in 1937, his mother is already a widow. His village near the tiny, dusty town of Tikrit lies in northern Iraq's unforgiving landscape.
Saddam was born in a miserable world, had a horrible upbringing, had experiences that none of us could ever imagine.
All the houses were sort of mud and brick huts. They had no electricity, they had no running water.
At the time Saddam is born, Iraq is a newly independent nation after 12 years of British rule. The production of oil, the liquid gold that will hold the key to its future fortunes, is still years away. Saddam belongs to the minority in his own land, a Sunni Muslim in a nation of Shiite Muslims. His mother remarries when Saddam is just a boy. His new stepfather is cruel, abusive, violent.
He would have Saddam do things like steal chickens from the neighboring villages, and Saddam's stepfather would then resell the chickens that Saddam would steal. He hated and despised the boy and abused him.
Saddam Hussein was an abused child who suffered a great deal. He suffered poverty, he suffered the inability to go to school, he suffered the way he was treated at home.
He learned from a very early age that you have to be tough. The way you get respect is by being aggressive and a bit more brutal than the next person.
When he is 10, young Saddam plots an escape. He runs away to live with his uncle, Khalil Tofa, a school teacher in Baghdad. Saddam has never gone to school. He is illiterate. Now he attends classes for the first time.
He suffered being laughed at because he couldn't read and write.
But academics matter less to Saddam than politics. His uncle, now the guiding force in his life, has strong political beliefs, and they make a strong impression.
Khalil Tofa had been a supporter of a pro-Nazi group in Iraq, and that was the dominant intellectual influence on Saddam as he was growing up as a teenager in Baghdad.
His uncle is a member of the Ba'ath Party, a radical group of Arab nationalists who advocate a single Arab state, strong and united, from Morocco to the Gulf. Saddam is eager to attend political meetings with his uncle.
Very active from day one. That is not surprising. You know, politics and going to school go hand in hand in the Middle East.
After finishing the equivalent of junior high school in the early 1950s, Saddam desperately wants to attend the Baghdad Military Academy. But he is rejected. Poor grades keep him out.
He was a mediocre student. He was not a good student, but he was a tremendous organizer.
Saddam takes refuge in politics. In 1956, the 19-year-old formally joins the Ba'ath Party and begins to closely study a politician who impresses him, Joseph Stalin, the ruthless Soviet dictator. His fascination with Stalin will prove crucial and fateful.
From the very beginning, there was similarities. They were brought up in poverty. They were pushed towards success.
Politically, Iraq is unstable. Opposing parties with starkly opposing ideas are all scheming to take control of the government. And it is amid this turmoil that young Saddam Hussein takes a bold step forward.
He seeks power and he seeks glory. That's his driving force.
Coming up, a daring order puts Saddam on the road to brutality and power.
Looking for the leader in cable news? Your search is over. It's MSNBC. Breaking news? They're there first. A big story? They get it right. A really big story? They own it. MSNBC. They go farther, they dig deeper, they do whatever it takes, and when they're done, you get it. Isn't that what you expect from the leader? MSNBC. The best people, the big stories. Just a few more reasons MSNBC is the leader in cable news.
This is the hardest thing I've ever done. I mean, these people were like family to me. Remember I met Jeannie at the company picnic?
It was the best thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah, taking the new job was a tough decision. Deciding what to do with my 401k money was another. I didn't want to mess it up. I called T. Rowe Price. You know, you told me about the mutual funds.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, they sent me a rollover kit, you know. Took me through it step by step.
I made it easy for you.
Yeah, piece of cake.
Call the rollover specialists at T. Rowe Price.
It's going to be a good job.
Yeah.
Cock-a-doodle, don't you just love starting the day with a little sip of me? Boldest cafe latte. I'm so rich and frothy. I'm delicious. I'm scrumptious. Who loves me, baby? Oh, no, not a paper cup. I'm more along the lines of fine china. Paper cups are for the dentist. And you ain't exactly rinsing and spitting, you dig?
Folgers Cafe Latte. The big-headed coffee.
Hey, baby, is it frothy in here or is it just me?
And don't you move from those seats till your homework's all done.
Totino's pizza rolls are so easy, kids can make them on their own. Pepperoni pizza stuffed into a bite-sized roll. Totino's, it's how kids help themselves.
There's a fresh voice in life insurance. A new kind of company that makes getting insured incredibly easy and affordable. We call it Caverna Direct. Call Caverna Direct now, and we'll explain everything right over the phone. We'll lay out all your options, speak to you in plain English, and help you choose the plan that's right for you. For up to 50% less than similar plans. For instance, a 35-year-old non-smoking woman can get $100,000 of coverage for under $10 a month. There's never been a simpler way to buy life insurance. You literally just have to pick up the telephone and call us. With Caverna Direct, you can get from $25,000 to $1 million in term life coverage. Call now. We'll tell you what you need to do and send you a free copy of our Get Started Guide.
Go Burner, baby.
Caverna Direct, a fresh voice in life insurance.
It is 1957, and Saddam Hussein is 20 years old. Tormented as a boy, turned away from a military academy, he now turns to politics to make his mark. He has joined the radical nationalist Ba'ath political party, and his first assignment gives him his first taste of the bloody realities of Iraqi politics. His mission is to kill. The target, Iraq's dictator, General Abdul Qasim.
His participation in the attempt on Qasim was second thought, because the guy who was supposed to be part of the team and who was replaced by Saddam developed the flu 24 hours before, so he went into the fray totally unprepared. But he was willing. You know, give him a gun, tell him, you know, this guy is an enemy of Arab nationalism, and he was willing to shoot him.
Years later, Saddam would commission this film. It recreates the assassination plot, giving Saddam a major part. Here, the hit team tries to gun down Qasim in his car. In a hell of gunfire, Saddam is shot in the leg and badly injured, but he manages to swim across the Tigris River to safety. At least, that's how the film tells it.
Saddam Hussein exaggerated, of course, his role in the attempt to assassinate General Abdul Karim Qasim and made himself the leader of the attempt, which he was not.
The assassination attempt fails, but for Saddam, it is a success. He will use the story to help craft his image, to build a legend of a brave leader unafraid to kill. Saddam escapes, first to Syria and then to Egypt. He is brought to Cairo by officials from the Egyptian government who also want to see General Qasim toppled from power. They pay for his education. He finishes high school and begins to attend law school, but he quickly drops out. His passion is still politics.
He devoted more time to organizing things within the party than he did to his studies.
In 1963, the Ba'ath Party finally succeeds. General Qasim, the Iraqi dictator Saddam had tried to kill, is forced out by the Ba'ath and disaffected nationalist army officers and murdered in a coup. Saddam hears the news and rushes back to Iraq to take part in the new government. At home at last, at the age of 26, he marries his first cousin, Sajida. It's an arranged marriage, decided upon by family when Saddam was just 5 years old.
That's very common in Iraq for people to marry first cousins. It's a kind of tribal habit.
Saddam's party, the Ba'ath, remain in power for only 9 months, then are forced out by the army. But Saddam rises through the ranks. Violence his stock in trade. One of his jobs, punishing enemies by any means necessary, including torture and murder. Meanwhile, Saddam is becoming a family man. He becomes a father in 1965 when his first son, Uday, is born. The next year, he has another son, Qusay. Later, 3 daughters follow. In 1968, the Ba'ath Party finally gains control of the government and is led by President al-Bakr.
When the Ba'ath take over, the U.S. is opposed to them, and views them as a brutal pro-Soviet government.
The Iraqi president is fond of Saddam and becomes his mentor, naming him vice chairman of the ruling Revolutionary Command Council. Now second in command, Saddam is also the regime's strongman, using violence to keep order.
He was a paid, do anything for the cause kind of guy, and he was, of course, active in the police. He was willing to kill on command.
By this time, he was the deputy for virtually everything. And in fact, his informal title was His Excellency the Deputy.
In 1979, Iraq's ailing and aging President Bakr resigns and hands over power to Saddam. He purges the party to prevent dissent, ordering the murder of anyone he believes his enemy.
When he first took power in 1979, in one of his most famous acts, he brought together the Revolutionary Command Council, the highest body, the highest ruling body inside Iraq of the Ba'ath Party, read off a list of names who he was saying betrayed the party.
So you have 500 people transfixed and frightened to death. They see death. The whole thing lasted for about 1 hour and a half. And through this period, name after name after name is mentioned, and one person after another is plucked from the audience, taken out to be shot.
The crowd, terrified, begins to applaud Saddam, and he begins to weep.
And in the end, he's wiping his eyes because apparently he's crying. How could these people do this to me?
This kind of brutality, this kind of slaughter has become commonplace in Iraq. It's one of the hallmarks of Saddam's reign.
The reign will have another hallmark too, the brutal echoes of another dictator, his longtime idol, Joseph Stalin.
They are firm believers in the maxim if the man is bad news, bring an end to him, and to anybody who believes in him. So Saddam Hussein doesn't kill a person, he kills all of his friends, all of his family, anybody who likes that person disappears. And that's what Stalin did.
And in Iraq's politics of brutality, Saddam believes there is only one way to ensure loyalty: family. His relatives will become the pillars of his power.
Family's critical in Saddam's rule of Iraq. Saddam is absolutely paranoid.
He places family members in key positions all through the country. This gives Saddam a sense of personal control and security. It's a close-knit structure of family ties, a mafia-like empire.
It's just known among Iraqis that he really likes to watch The Godfather.
You were afraid to be like that. I didn't want to get into trouble.
It's his favorite movie, and he's watched it repeatedly.
It is as if the Gambino family or the Corleone family had taken control over a country. In some ways, he's almost the Tony Soprano of Iraq, although Tony Soprano has some good moments that Saddam doesn't seem to have.
But later, Saddam will learn neither his plan nor his family's loyalty is foolproof. Coming up, a dream of domination, and a nightmare is unleashed, a chilling chemical war inside Iraq.
He's here for Orange Clean. Discover the secret and unleash the power of pure orange oil. Orange Clean in the kitchen. It's a tough-acting degreaser that cuts through the splatter, the grease, the grime, and the dirt. In the oven, it's a multi-purpose cleaner that's tough enough for greasy messes and years of buildup. Unleash the power of a cleaner that's safe enough to use all around your home. For countertops, use it on Formica. It cleans corian, granite, even tile without the toxic fumes. Use it on all your appliances. It wipes out the kids' fingerprints and crayon on the fridge. Orange Clean is great for those everyday spills or those unexpected mishaps in the microwave. In the bathroom, it cleans and deodorizes without using harmful chemicals. It cuts through the water spots and the soap film each and every time. If you've been working in the garage or detailing the car, Orange Clean cuts through oil and is safe on all kinds of surfaces. To get you started, we'll send you a 22-ounce bottle of Orange Clean for $19.99. We'll also give you 2 super scrubbers absolutely free. But if you call right now, we'll include our toughest degreaser yet, the Orange Clean Foam. It targets the really tough areas. Use it on ceiling fans, the hood above the range. For vertical surfaces, it's the best. Whether it's burnt on the barbecue or built up in the shower, use it with the Orange Clean Multi-Purpose for your 1-2 punch combination. You get all this for $19.99. But call in the next 20 minutes and we'll include a whopping 32 ounces of the Orange Clean Super Concentrate, enough to make up to 45 bottles of this powerful cleaner. That's a $15 value, absolutely free. But you gotta call now. Here's how to order.
Call to order the Orange Clean Multipurpose Cleaner as a special TV offer. Will include a 32-ounce bottle of the Orange Clean Concentrate and a 17-ounce bottle of the Orange Clean Foam for only $19.99. Call 1-800-851-2233. Call now.
What if you could earn your college degree from a leading accredited university, from home, at the office, or while traveling? At University of Phoenix Online, you attend class when and where you want via the internet. You learn from current industry leaders, and you can earn your degree in just 2 or 3 years, so you can start applying it toward your success. To learn more, call 877-386-GRAD or visit our website.
When Saddam Hussein seizes power as president in 1979, Iraq is a prosperous nation, flush with some of the world's richest oil reserves, and Saddam is eager to flex his muscles.
He sees himself as having a role to really modernize Iraq.
In some ways, he is bettering the lives of his people.
In addition to building the region's most powerful army, he also concentrated on schools and roads, education, infrastructure.
But prosperity does not blind the Iraqi people to Saddam's brutality.
They simultaneously were aware of people who were suffering because of political opposition to Saddam Hussein, people disappearing in the middle of the night, the pressure of the secret police of the country.
He has learned well the methods of his idol, Joseph Stalin, the use of secret police, the extermination of all enemies.
I think that he takes pleasure in physically killing his enemies, whom he believed tried to kill him or would eventually try to kill him, people who made him angry.
His goal in everything that he does is to promote himself, to make himself more powerful, and to increase his own glory.
That desire for power, that dream of domination, now drives Saddam to war with his giant neighbor to the east, Iran. But he is also driven by fear. A bloody revolution has gripped Iran. The Shah overthrown by the Ayatollah Khomeini, and Saddam dreads a similar revolution in Iraq.
Iraq was frightened of Iran. The Islamic Revolution in Iran had really disconcerted Saddam.
At the root of Saddam's fear, he and many in his regime are Sunni Muslims, a minority in Iraq, just 1/5 of the population. Most Iraqis are Shiite Muslims.
Saddam was terrified that the Ayatollah Khomeini, this incredibly charismatic figure, would be able to stir up the Shia inside of Iraq just as he had inside of Iran. And his hope was that by invading Iran and hopefully causing the fall of the government there, he would head off that revolution.
There is another reason for battle: oil.
There was a large element of greed and opportunism. There was a potential for Iraq of grabbing a large and valuable oil-producing area adjacent to its borders.
And so, in 1980, Saddam invades Iran. America is in the midst of its own crisis with Iran.
The bargaining between Iran and the United States over the hostages continued today.
And the U.S. forges an alliance of convenience with Saddam.
America, in an action which I think some people now regret, tilted towards Iraq in that war. There was a great deal of quiet support for Saddam Hussein in that period in his military. The American military and intelligence shared photographs, satellite reconnaissance with Saddam.
Saddam believes the conflict will be short and directs the war himself, even though he's had no military training.
During the early days of the Iran-Iraq War, Saddam seemed to have signed off on just about every order sent to every division in the Iraqi army.
The war initially goes well for Iraq. Its tanks quickly advance and damage an Iranian oil refinery. But the early, easy victories do not last.
Iraq got bogged down in a war for 2 years before it found itself on the defensive and the Iranians attacking them.
Both sides are bleeding. Men, money, supplies. But neither side will surrender. Saddam realizes he needs military support and turns to the American media. In 1982, he speaks to 2 reporters from Time magazine.
He wanted visibility in the United States that would allow him to send his people and have a calling card in Washington.
The interview takes place in Saddam's palace. He comes dressed for the occasion in full military garb.
He just seemed like a tough guy. You just have an instinct about a tough guy. You wouldn't want to go into the ring with him, or you wouldn't want to turn your back with him.
Saddam volunteers to take the reporters on a tour of Baghdad. The show and tell stops at a typical Iraqi home like this one.
And he opened the refrigerator door to see if there was any food in there. And I was just astonished. He was astonished. Inside the door of the refrigerator was a huge poster of Saddam with his face.
Apart from the picture of Saddam, the refrigerator is mostly empty. Food shortages and other hardships are crippling the Iraqi people. The war is taking a terrible toll, and soon the world will learn Saddam is willing to do terrible things to destroy his enemies and to ensure his victory.
He had used chemical weapons against the Iranians. He had used chemical weapons against his own troops.
In March of 1988, the war escalates to a horrifying new extreme. Saddam orders nerve gas attacks in his own country to stop a rebellion among the Kurds. Entire villages are bombed with canisters of gas. As many as 5,000 people die in a matter of minutes.
He killed more people in Iraq than anybody has killed in the Middle East ever.
But chemical weapons are only the beginning. Saddam's scientists are also secretly at work developing biological weapons, like anthrax. The West will eventually come to learn about these poisonous plans firsthand. Just months after the chemical attack, Iran accepts a ceasefire, ending the war that's dragged on for 8 years.
Iraq, quote, won the war against Iran. Khomeini was forced to drink the poisoned chalice of peace. But Iraq and Iraqis paid a horrible price for that conflict.
Hundreds of thousands of people on both sides were killed, maimed, wounded for life, captured, and sent to prison camps.
Both nations are now shells of what they once were. Iraq, the victor, has plundered its rich oil resources. It now faces a staggering debt of more than $70 billion. And though the war with Iran is at last over, Saddam's schemes for terror are not. Coming up, murder in the family. Saddam's inner circle shows its dark side.
They are the alarm clocks, the cheering sections, and comforters. They nourish you and your dreams. And because they know what's inside you makes all the difference, they give you Campbell's chicken noodle soup. Its golden goodness warms you up and keeps you going. So when your dreams come true, remember those moms and dads who helped make it possible. Warm up with Campbell's, official soup supplier of the 2002 Olympic Winter Games.
Hey, Jim, you hear about Chanco Wireless? I just ordered 200 shares. I went for 300. I locked in at 25.10. I got it for 25.05. But we ordered at the same time. That's too bad. Why did your broker get it cheaper? Because Ameritrade doesn't play favorites. They go to multiple market centers to look for the best price. Well, my broker does that. Don't they? I don't know. Some brokers buy from networks they own. Sometimes they sell you stock out of their own portfolios. And sometimes when you're really mad, your neck gets all blotchy. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Fine. Attention, everybody. Please do not talk to Tom about his unfortunate stock purchase. See me for details.
Switch to Ameritrade for better order routing. Open your account today and get 25 commission-free trades. Restrictions apply. For details, visit Ameritrade.com.
Nickel for your thoughts?
If you suffer from any of these health problems, a relaxing, affordable Craftmatic adjustable bed with built-in massage and soothing heat may provide the temporary relief from pain you've been looking for. Call toll-free now so we can mail you our free information pack. Inside are facts about the Craftmatic Model 2 that costs hundreds less than many quality flatbeds, and the Craftmatic Model 3 that is 50% less than the Model 2's low cost. 50% less. Call now and we'll also mail you this special free $200 off rebate certificate. It's good for $200 off the Craftmatic Model 1 bed of your choice. Don't suffer needlessly. Get the facts about the affordable adjustable beds that may provide temporary relief. Call for this helpful free money-saving information right away. There's absolutely no obligation.
Call 1-800-641-1919 toll-free. That's 1-800-641-1919. Call toll-free 1-800-641-1919.
This is Headliners and Legend with Matt Lauer.
In the early 1980s, in the wake of Iraq's victory over Iran, Saddam Hussein is the world's most feared leader. Ruthless purges keep him in power. He thinks nothing of slaughtering thousands of his own people with nerve gas. And he has other lethal weapons and still bigger ambitions.
The problem with the end of the Iran-Iraq War was that Saddam had spent so much money on this 8-year war and had built this enormous military machine to defeat the Iranians and had nothing to show for the effort.
Saddam Hussein has gone to war for glory and greed, locked in a death grip with a neighbor that's lasted almost a decade. Now it is 1988. Iraq claims victory, but it is costly. A new struggle begins against a mountain of debt, tens of billions of dollars. Iraq's delicate alliance with the United States, which had supported Iraq during the war, is disintegrating. When the Iran-Contra scandal breaks and Saddam learns the U.S. had also been secretly selling weapons to his enemy Iran, he's furious.
Hussein's reaction was quite understandable. A feeling that the United States had been deceiving them.
When he saw us turning around and behind his back arming the Iranian regime, whom we had been helping him fight for all of these years, in Saddam's own mind, that reinforced his suspicion that he couldn't trust us, that ultimately the United States was out to get him.
Deception abroad, dissent at home. Saddam's concerns grow.
He has good reason to believe that people would like to do him in. He's done a lot of damage to his country. And his whole history is that people are out to get you, and you better get them first.
Saddam is obsessed with his safety. He relies heavily on body doubles who conceal his whereabouts, on food tasters who protect him from poison. Traitors he fears are in his midst. Again, he turns to his family.
He believes that these people will be loyal to him, and therefore he is willing to place them in positions of authority because he believes that he can trust them there.
His cousin becomes defense minister. His daughter's husbands are given high military posts. His beloved uncle, mayor of Baghdad, and Saddam's sons, now in their 20s, have a quick rise to power. Qusay, the youngest, helps run Iraq's secret police. And Uday, the oldest, has a budding business empire, along with a reputation as a playboy. Like their father, the sons soon earn fearsome reputations.
And his sons are spoiled brats, they're violent, particularly the older boy.
In October of 1998, Uday's dark side eclipses the family in scandal once he learns about one of his father's mistresses.
Saddam has affairs. He has long-term affairs with women.
Uday sees this as a betrayal of his mother and savagely strikes out at one of Saddam's closest aides, a trusted friend who has helped arrange an affair.
The story is that Hana Jojo, who was a very close friend of Saddam and a very important aide of his, was one of the most important people who procured Saddam's mistresses.
Uday attacks the man in a fit of rage.
He killed him publicly at a party and, beat him to death, literally with a stick. And then Saddam, of course, exiled him for a while, and then he reinstated him.
The only people that we found that Saddam seems really loyal to, loyal enough so that he will excuse great lapses in judgment and great faults, seem to be his sons.
But family members lacking Saddam's trust face bleaker fates.
His cousin and his closest friend in life was a man by the name of Adnan Khairallah, and yet it appears that Saddam had Adnan killed at the end of the Iran-Iraq War because Adnan, who had been serving as the defense minister, was becoming a bit too popular with the army officers, and Saddam saw Adnan as being a threat to his continued rule.
Officially, Adnan's death is blamed on a helicopter crash. Few believe it.
There was always talk of uprisings against Saddam, but you know, when the government has guns and you don't, it makes revolting against the ruler a very, very perilous enterprise. In those instances in which people did rebel, these rebellions were ruthlessly crushed.
He builds an intricate, elaborate security system, a series of overlapping intelligence organizations. Reportedly, the whole country is under surveillance. Like Big Brother, Saddam is always watching.
It is said that no three people can meet in Iraq without Saddam Hussein knowing about it.
For all of his power and control, Saddam remains, in ways, provincial.
He's a bully from the streets of the Middle East.
A boy born to poverty in the desert, who rose to lead a nation through sheer force of will.
The man is extremely intelligent. He has photographic memory. All he has to do is read a document of 2 pages one time and he'll memorize it. But he's not a worldly man. He does not understand world affairs. He has not been exposed. And when people like that make mistakes, they tend to be really big ones. And God knows the Gulf War was a big one.
Coming up, a storm in the desert. Saddam tests his power against a superpower.
Every Sunday at 8 on MSNBC's National Geographic Explorer. Travel with the world's most renowned filmmakers on a weekly expedition of amazing discovery. 16 years experience, 42 Emmy Awards, one place to watch. Explorer, every Sunday night at 8, only on MSNBC.
Talk about a torture test. I took Aleve to my 2-day walk for charity. With my bad back, I needed something that wouldn't let me down. Well, Aleve kept me going all day.
Just 2 Aleve can stop pain all day. It would take 8 Tylenol to do that.
Thanks, Aleve.
There is a place where 3 is never a crowd. There's no place like Ritz.
Can I get life insurance at my age, in my health?
I'd like to leave my loved ones with a little something when I'm gone, but I'm afraid I'm too old to get life insurance.
If you're like these nice folks and thought life insurance after 45 was impossible to get or impossible to afford, I've got good news. If you're 45 to 79, Physicians Life guarantees you up to $10,000 of permanent modified whole life insurance, designed to help your family with the expenses they will face. You cannot be turned down because of your health. You can buy this insurance policy if you're 45 to 79 and you're insured for life, no questions asked. Just $1 pays for your first full month of protection. After that, you can continue at a monthly renewal rate that can never go up. Plus, your coverage can never be canceled because of your age or health. Easy to get and easy to afford. Now let me tell you why this protection is so important. All of us someday may leave behind expenses for our loved ones to pay. There's no escaping it. These expenses can easily add up to thousands of dollars. You know, some people even expect the government to take care of these expenses. But the fact is, Social Security currently pays a death benefit of just $255, and only if you qualify. That's why I urge you to take a look at this coverage. It's one sure way you can help leave your loved ones with dollars instead of debts. I'm proud to be their paid spokesman. This is one phone call your loved ones will be thankful for later. So call right now.
To get your free information kit directly by mail, call toll-free 1-800-282-9700. There's no cost or obligation. You're just calling for information. That's 1-800-282-9700.
We're here when you need us. Physicians Life.
It is the dawn of a new decade, 1990. Saddam Hussein is the victor of a bloody war with Iran and eager to become the preeminent leader of the Arab world.
Saddam has all kinds of delusions of grandeur. He wants to be the knight of the Arab world.
In waging war, he has taken his country from riches to rags. Iraq owes billions in war debt. Saddam points blame at the border to another neighbor, the tiny and wealthy Kuwait. He accuses Kuwait's ruling family of producing too much oil, driving down the price at Iraq's expense. When the Kuwaitis refuse any concessions, Saddam invades, claiming Kuwait was really part of Iraq all along.
They said, well, this is our 19th province. It always has been, and it will be forever. End of Kuwait.
On August 2nd, 1990, Saddam's soldiers sweep into Kuwait. In 24 hours, the invasion and occupation are complete. A lightning-quick show of force few had foreseen. Saddam believes the world will not interfere. It is a fateful mistake.
You had an easily identified villain in the form of Saddam Hussein, blatant aggression against the Kuwaiti people.
In his own region, he certainly miscalculated the Saudi response and the response of other Arab countries like Egypt and Syria.
The fear is that Saddam won't stop, that Saudi Arabia and its rich oil fields may be next, and that concerns oil-dependent America.
There's an overriding moral question. Can a bully of a nation with the fourth largest army in the world take over its weak neighbor?
The famous line in the sand is drawn. 5 days later, America marshals its troops and an international coalition of 32 countries to demand Saddam's withdrawal. In Iraq, Saddam takes hostages, among them Western diplomats, travelers to Iraq and their families. Ever an eye on his image, he portrays himself as a kindly host to those he calls his foreign guests.
Does Stuart get his milk? Yes.
4 months later, Saddam frees the hostages, reasoning this goodwill gesture will reduce the chance of an attack against Iraq. However, during this time, tensions escalate, and so do the stakes. An ultimatum is issued and ignored. Saddam refuses to withdraw.
Our objectives are clear. Saddam Hussein's forces will leave Kuwait.
On January 16, 1991, Desert Storm starts the war with a devastating Allied air assault on Saddam's command and control facilities in Iraq. Saddam has called for the mother of all battles, but sends his air force into exile in Iran rather than face the Allied onslaught.
As you all know, we are now 36 hours into Operation Desert Storm.
The offensive is exhaustive and successful. But Saddam is devising an even deadlier campaign of his own, a campaign that will haunt the West in years to come.
His scientists were busy developing the anthrax and other weapons, which, if needed, he was prepared to use against us.
He has sent a warning.
If you use chemical weapons on our troops, we will retaliate with all means available to us, which was a very nice way of saying we will nuke you or something. But I was very happy when that was sent, because I thought we needed it. That's the kind of language a thug like Saddam Hussein understands.
Just 42 days after the first bombs fall, and just 100 hours after the ground war is launched, Kuwait is liberated. Desert Storm is abruptly over. The war's objective is met. Kuwait is free, and President Bush calls a ceasefire. There is no attempt to find and topple Saddam Hussein, a controversial call.
What in the world makes you think we would go to a great big huge country like Iraq, where you have a person who has been hiding for years from his enemies in all sorts of strongholds? I don't think we ever would have found it.
I don't think there was any consideration given to going into Baghdad. Could we have done it? Absolutely. And then what? We would have been an occupying power in an Arab land and maybe bogged down in a long, fruitless hunt for the most secure tyrant that we've ever known. We never knew where this
TV, Oregon's 12.